Narito na ako, Noli Iyala, kilalanin ang mga nasa likod ng bawat laro. Sa buhay man o sa playing court, game na tayo. Power and Play sa Radyo 5, 92.3 News FM.
Sa kapwa ko Pilipino, ipagmalaki ang galing na meron tayo. Ilantad ang likas nating talento at magdala ng saya sa mundo. Sa harap ng pagsubok ay di susuko. Para sa pangarap tayo'y porsigido. Magpakitang gilas na at magpapatalo. Ipag-iwang natin ang Pilipino. Yan ang Pinoy. Mula noon at hanggang ngayon, talento natin ang bida. Mula sa simpleng bakuran hanggang entablado natin ipakita. May pagsubok man ng Pinoy, pinalalakas ng saya. San man tayo sa pulo, chumbeshi, baila kay amiga. Sama-samang pakita ang galing natin katropa. Sa kapwa ko Pilipino. Pilipino. Yan ang Pinoy.
Pasado na po ang finals ng PBA Governors Cup. Alam nyo, paminsan-minsan maganda yung kupunan mo ay magaling. Pero paminsan-minsan din, mas mabuti yung siniswerte din. At yan po ang ating pag-uusapan ngayong Sabado ng umaga sa inyong paboritong kasama tuwing almusal. E di paano? Bango na! Power and Play na!
Power and Play with Noli Iyala.
Magandang umaga mga kapatid! Good morning! Naku, nagbabalik po ang inyong paboritong kasama tuwing Sabado ng umaga, ang Power and Play. Hatid sa inyo ng Cherry Loom, ang Yerong May Aluminum, ang Cherry Tigo, It's Fun to Drive, at ng Chooks to Go, ang nag-iisang manok ng bayan, powered by Smart. Ako po si Noli Iyala na bumabati po sa lahat ng ating mga suki dito sa Power and Play tuwing Sabado, lalong-lalo na mga nakikinig sa Radyo 5, 92.3 News FM, sa lahat po ng uri ng manggagawa, sa lahat po ng mga pauwi mula sa kanilang mga shift ng mga security guard, lahat po ng ating mga mananakay. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat, yung mga papasok, yung mga paluwas ng kanilang mga probinsya, at of course yung pong mga nag-aabang sa mga terminal ng bus. Binabati rin po natin ng isang magandang umaga ang lahat po ng nanonood sa 1PH on Signal TV. Good morning to everyone. Mayong buntag kaninyo tanan, lalong-lalo na dyan po sa Cebu City, sa lahat po ng mga suki ng 1PH. And of course, all over the world via our Facebook pages ng Power and Play, ng 1PH, and of course ng Radyo 5. Siya nga pala, yung mga gustong mapanood, yung mga past episodes po natin, puntahan lang nyo ang ating Facebook page ng Power and Play para mapanood nyo ulit kung hindi nyo man inabutan. Even ito pong show na to, kung medyo tinanghali kayo ng gising at nagkaroon tayo ng Biyernes na gabing exciting, pasyalan po natin ang Facebook page ng Power and Play. Marami tayong pag-uusapan ngayong araw pong ito, Abril 2. Aba, Abril na pala, no? Kahapon, Abril 1. Birthday ko pala kahapon, Jerjen, no? Gusto ko pong magpasalamat sa lahat ng mga bumati at nagparating ng kanilang pagbati kahapon. Napakadami ng talagang nag-Viber, nag-message, nag-text, nag-Facebook, at mga bumati po sa Twitter at sa social media. Thank you so much to all of you. Nakakatuwa ng puso po talaga ang inyong pagbati kahapon. At sa lahat ng mga kasama ko nagsapit ng kanilang birthday kahapon, si Samboy Lim, happy birthday! Sam, pagaling ka. Happy birthday din sa aking kaibigan si Arsenic Laurel. Happy birthday! Kay paring Nando Pahati, happy birthday. Kay paring Mark Ablan, happy birthday. Sa lahat po sa inyo na nagsapit ng birthday nila kahapon at sa mga susunod na araw, happy birthday to all of you. Pinag-uusapan ng birthday, well, pakiramdam ng Meralco Bolts ay birthday nila sapagkat napakaganda ng celebration kahapon after a scintillating win laban sa Magnolia Hotshots sa knockout game ng semifinals ng PBA Governors Cup. Kasado na nga po ang pagpasok ng Meralco Bolts kontra Barangay Ginebra At yan po ay pambihirang serye. Pang-apat na sunod o pang-apat na pagkakataon magtatapat po sila sa Governor's Cup. Hindi pa nananalo ang Meralco laban sa Barangay Ginebra. So it should be a blockbuster of a series. Nakakaawa of course ang nangyari sa Magnolia dahil hindi po nila nakasama ang kanilang import na si Mike Harris in the final 9 minutes of that game dahil sa isang kapansanan. But ganyan talaga ang takbo ng buhay ng PBA. Ganyan din po nangyari of course sa Ginebra na sinuwerte na nagpalit ng mga imports yung kanilang mga nakatapat sa quarterfinals, Stock and Tex, and then sa NLEX noong pong semifinal. So again, it's how the ball bounces and walang dapat sisihin. It's the breaks of the game and of course may siniswerte, meron din minamalas. But ang fans maswerte because it's another blockbuster series. Meralco kontra Ginebra, PLDT Group versus the San Miguel Group. Ano pa ang hihilingin natin? At ngayong araw pong ito, makakausap natin si Coach Tim Cone. Actually, kagabi ko siya nakapanayam right after the series ng Magnolia at saka ng Meralco. So mainit na mainit pa yung kanyang thoughts about this coming series kontra Meralco Bolts. So abangan nyo po yan, yung ating panayam kay Coach Tim Cone. Mamaya din po makakausap natin sa ating In the Spotlight, dalawang PBA players na sumabak sa politika. Paul Artadi at Don Allado sa In the Spotlight in our second hour. And of course, in our final interview today, yung bagong liga, yung EASL, East Asia Super League, nakasado na rin at makakasama ang inyong paboritong mga koponan mula sa PBA and of course Korean League, sa Japan B-League at dun sa Greater China na may representative. Mamaya abangan niyo po Matt Bayer, ang CEO ng EASL live sa ating palatuntunan. Ang dami nating dapat balatan, kaya simulan na natin sa pamamagitan ng ating Sports Weekly Highlights. Sa wakas, nag-aayos na rin si EJ Obiena at ang Philippine Athletics Track and Field Association. Tagumpay ang mediation sa Philippine Sports Commission at i-endorso na ng PATAFA si Obiena sa mga torneo. Kasama dyan ang Southeast Asian Games, Asian Games at ang 2022 World Outdoor Athletics. Congratulations sa lahat po ng pumagitna, lalong-lalo na kay PSC Chairman Butch Ramirez. Isa pang good news, itinanghal na Midwest Regional Most Outstanding Player sa NCAA Tournament sa Amerika ang Phil-Am guard na si Remy Martin. Kasunod yan ng pangunguna ni Martin sa Kansas Jayhawks para makatulong o makatungtong sa Final Four ng March Madness. May average siyang 16.7 points, 5.2 rebounds at 3.2 assists sa tournament. Bukas makakalaban nila sa Final Four ang Villanova. Good luck kababayang Remy. Aba, ito pa. Good news ulit. Papayagan na po makapanood ang live fans sa mga UAAP games na magsisimula sa darating na Martes. Katulad sa ibang liga, dapat fully vaccinated ang mga papasok. Required din ang pagsusuot ng face masks at social distancing. May designated area naman para sa mga kakain. At kung estudyante naman kayo, meron kayong discount kapag bibili ng ticket sa Mall of Asia Arena. Ngayong araw, mapapanood niyo po rin ang UAAP Men's Basketball Tournament sa One Sports, Signal Play App at Smart Giga Play App. Magsisimula ang mga laro mamayang alas 10 ng umaga. Pagkatapos po yan ng Power and Play. Ng big game today, Lasal kontra Ateneo. PVL update naman tayo. Mula last placers noong 2021, one win away na lang. Ngayon ang Signal HD Spikers sa finals. Aba, pambihira, no ha? Na-sweep ng Signal ang Petrogas Angels sa Game 1 at bukas din ay pwede na nilang ma-sweep ang serye. Sa kabilang semifinals match naman, nakauna ang Creamline Cool Smashers kontra Choco Mucho Flying Titans sa likod ng 4-set win. Sa PBA naman, pamilyar ang tapatang Meralco Bolts at Barangay Ginebra sa Governor's Cup Finals. Umabante ang Bolts sa last stage matapos ilaglag ang Magnolia Hotshots sa Game 5 ng semifinals. Target ngayon ng Bolts na makaisa sa Ginebra at makuha kanilang unang kampyonato para sa franchise. At yan po ang ating mga buod ng balita sa Sports Weekly Highlights. Nako, very exciting match of course yung PBA, pero exciting din yung mga mangyayari sa PVL at UAAP ha. Kaya abangan po natin lahat yan ha. Bukas ang PVL semifinals, game 2, matapos na kaya ng Signal at saka ng Creamline. At yung UAAP today, Ateneo kontra Lasal, alas 7 po ng gabi yan. First time na magtatagpo ang dalawa after 3 years, and of course, first time na magtatagpo na walang fans. So talagang magkakasubukan. Alright, pinag-uusapan po natin ang PBA Finals. Simple lang po ang ating pupulsuhan ngayong araw na ito. Tungkol po sa parating na PBA Governors Cup Finals na magsisimula sa Miyerkules. Ito po ang ating pulso ng bayan ngayong araw na ito. Ang ating pong pulso ng bayan ay hatid sa inyo ng Chooks to Go, nag-iisang manok ng bayan. Ano ang inyong PBA Governors Cup Finals prediction? Sabihin nyo rin kung ilang games sa tingin nyo matatapos ang finals. Again, ano po ang inyong prediction para sa PBA Governors Cup Finals between Meralco at Ginebra? Yung pong dalawang may mapipili nating magandang sagot, hindi naman po kailangang tama, ay ating pong bibigyan ng gift certificates mula sa Chooks to Go, ang nag-iisang manok ng bayan. Abangan niyo po yan. At again, mamaya po babasahin natin yan sa katapusan ng ating show ngayong araw na ito. Alright, at this point, marami tayo kasi kailangang pasyalan at marami tayong kailangang pag-usapan. Ipasok na kagad natin ang ating paboritong Fast Take. Ang Fast Take ay hatid sa inyo ng Cherry Tigo. It's fun to drive. At ngayong araw pong ito, ang ating mga kasama, balik Fast Takers, si Brian Olanday ng Philstar at si Ivan Suing ng Daily Tribune. Magandang umaga, Brian and Ivan. Yun. Good morning, good morning. May audio ba? Mukhang wala pang audio. Baka naka-mute kayo, baka naka-mute ha. Tingnan natin ha. Mike?
Morning.
Walang microphone yan.
Yun.
Walang microphone yan.
Tingnan natin. Brian?
Good morning.
Yun! Good morning. Ivan? Medyo wala si Ivan. Walang audio pa si Ivan. Tingnan natin kung makukuha natin si Ivan. Ivan?
Good morning po.
Yun! Yung mga boses na ganyan, kailangan maririnig talaga yan. Good morning! Maraming salamat. Thank you for joining us sa Power and Play dito sa Fast Take na portion natin. Before we go to the Fast Take issues, kayong dalawa, you cover a lot of sports, of course, PBA. Brian, ikaw muna tanungin ko. Alam mo, malas na malas talaga ang Magnolia kahapon na nagkaroon pa ng problema. Si Mike Harris, nagkaroon ng injury. What is the latest kay Mike Harris? Ano ba nangyari kay Mike Harris? At ano ang pinakahuling balita? Siya ba ay okay naman?
I think stability, yung health so far. Pero Magnolia decided na just not to play him. Okay naman siya pero yung playing physique niya hindi. I think I heard pa sa isang video ng One Sports gustong-gusto maglaro ni Mike.
Oo, kailangan siya. Oo, kailangan talaga siya kagabi at alam naman natin na ang pinakamalaking factor pagdating sa serye katulad ng nakatapat nila sa Meralco. Ivan, bago natin pag-usapan yung mga issue, malapit na ang mga conference awards. Sino ba ang sa tingin mong nangunguna sa best player of the conference para sa PBA Governors Cup?
Mahirap din yan kung everybody has been performing well. My pick rin is Scotty because he's do-it-all pushy and it only makes him better lalo na with Japet and Brownlee performing well din. So it's my pick rin. But again, it's anybody's ball game na rin, especially with the finals around the corner.
Alam mo, parang malakas ang ugong na si Scotty Thompson nga ang liyamado, no? But again, Ang daming magagaling, ang daming lumabas na mga magagaling. Of course, sila Bolik, although hindi sila nakapasok ng playoffs, ay mga dark horses. And then you have Mikey Williams also who played very well. But at the end of the day, ang laging siyempre ang naiisip yung mga tumulong na magtulak sa kanilang koponan to as far as they can in this particular conference. All right. Alam nyo na ang drill dito sa ating Fast Take. Ito ay, kung dito mahalaga ang opinion ng ating mga kasama sa hanap buhay, ang mga sports journals, na mga nasa likod ng balita ng palakasan. At of course, walang tama, walang mali, bato-bato sa langit, tamaan, huwag magagalit. Ang ating unang issue of the morning, Brian at Ivan. Ito ang ating tanong, pagkatapos ng unang linggo ng UAAP Games, sino sa mga UAAP players ang pinaka naka-impress sa inyo? I will begin with you, Brian. 1 minute. Go!
Okay. Number 1, RJ Abarrientos. Siyempre, ng FEU. Parang hindi siya rookie. Maglaro, of course, with his Gilas Philippines experience. Yun, parang ang simple ng laro sa kanya, parang ang tagal niya na naglalaro sa UAAP Collegiate. So yun, kita naman so far sa first 3 games ng FEU, though second straight loss na nga sila, diba, 1 and 2. Pero si RJ yung talagang nagtitibon. Of course, lalo pag nagdire-diretso na yung pagbalik ni LJ Gonzalez, expect natin yung backcourt na yun ng FEU na talagang todo yung lupit. Aside from that, siguro mga honorable mentions ko sila Deshaun Winston and Mark Nonoy ng Lasal, Joshua Fontanilla ng UST, and Carl Tamayo ng UP. Though hindi pa talagang medyo bumobomba ng todo si Carl, finding his groove pa lang sa kanyang collegiate debut. Pero alam natin bilang Gilas Pilipinas Garden, pupunta rin siya doon.
Nako, yung mga pangalan binanggit mo, Brian, talagang maganda ang ipinakita. I love RJ Abarrientos, and tandaan natin, rookie yung bata. hindi yan veterano. All right, same issue. Ivan, sino among the first week players ng UAAP ang pinaka naka-impress sa'yo? 1 minute, Ivan, go!
For me, definitely po si Sherwin Concepcion. Knowing him, he was one of the rookies rin ho nung championship team ng UST na may Nonoy, Cancino, Chabio, Abando. So it's really great seeing him stepping up to the plate, and nung against UE he produced 25 points, so he really proved himself to be one of the pillars for this rebuilding team, especially ngayon na that this Tigers team is really looking to get back into the winning circle din. Another honorable mention ko naman is Mark Nonoy. Second game, he was able to adjust and was able to go back to his former self, albeit more smarter, more wiser, and a lot more deadly when it comes to playmaking po.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, again, those names are excellent. I love Sherwin Concepcion, yan ang mga future ng basketball. Of course, yung sinabi kanina ni Brian, si Deshaun Winston, very impressive para sa Lasal. I'd like to say Save Lucero ng UP has also been exceptional. I think CJ Cancino, expected yan na talagang puputok. And of course, Tyler Tio ng Ateneo, I think played very well, and of course without saying naman si Dave Ildefonso. Ang daming mga stars ng UAP na talagang dapat abangan, and this is what makes the UAP so exciting sa mga susunod na linggo. Alright, second issue natin, gentlemen, mainit na ang semifinals ng Premier Volleyball League. Pero ito ang ating issue. Anong PVL team sa tingin nyo out of the remaining 4 ang pinaka-deserve makatungtong sa finals? I will begin with you, Ivan. 1 minute. Go!
I'd like to say Creamline, pero I have to go with Signal din. Kasi last year, sobrang baba nila sa standings. They really had trouble in Bacara, but now, after a few changes din, after retooling, especially getting Ria Meneses rin po as their middle blocker, grabe yung naging nila. Naging elimination campaign po nila 4-0 din. Nakakuha agad ng twice to beat. They defeated, they were able to go to the quarterfinals then, and now they're 1 win away to the finals. So them getting there after a horrible season last year and hopefully getting the championship. It's one Cinderella story everybody will be talking about.
Absolutely. Alam mo, from the bottom, if you make it to the top, talaga naman pambihira yan. Just an incredible story na I'm sure kayong mga journals ay talagang nag-aabang dahil yan ay magandang pag-usapan. Same issue para sa iyo, Brian. Anong PVL team ang pinaka-deserve para sa iyo na makatungtong sa finals ng Open Conference? 1 minute, Brian. Go!
Okay, para hindi kami same answer, siguro Creamline na lang ako. Though I like the narrative of Signal being the bottom place in the last bubble, tapos ngayon number 1 undefeated and going to the finals. But I think Creamline has the same motivation as far as its team is concerned. Creamline finished runner-up last bubble in the PVL. So, yung motivation, yung revenge, yung vengeance nandun eh. And so far, they've yet to lose tulad ng Signal. So, I think yun yung mananaig kung gusto talaga nilang magdire-diretso. Yung kagustuhan na makuha uli yung PVL crown. Especially sa pro season na yun nga, nag-fall short sila against Ferry Tigo. And this time, I think it's time to settle some unfinished business for Creamline.
Well, both teams deserve obviously to be in the finals. Alam natin, favorites ang Creamline because of the powerhouse lineup that they have. Pero grabe ang build-up ng Signal. One thing that is sure though, at ito ay aking hats off ako sa mga tiga-PVL, yung parity ng liga nila is really, really good. Maganda yung competitive balance, kaya kahit na sino ay pwedeng manalo. Kaya naman talagang dagsa ang tao, dagsa ang fans sa panonood ng PVL because that's the way leagues are supposed to be. Kahit yung 10th place, last place, may chance ang manalo ng championship. Alright, let's go to our third and final take of the morning. Ito, balikan natin ang PBA Governors Cup. Kasado na yung Meralco kontra Ginebra. 4th time they will meet since 2015. Ano sa tingin nyo ang magiging susi para mapanalunan ng either Ginebra or Meralco ang Governors Cup Finals? Brian, 1 minute. Go!
I think both imports will cancel each other. Siguro kung may lalamang konti lang. So it will boil down to the locals. I think depende sa absence ni Japet. Kung hindi siya makakalaro, medyo tingin ko, iba yung Meralco ngayon, iba yung lineup nila ngayon. Mas solid kumpara sa mga nakaraang conference sila. At tandaan natin na nung last edition ng rivalry nila is Meralco is up there. Meralco was up there prior to injury of Raymond Almasan. So kung wala si Japet, tapos kung magdediretso yung solid play ni Raymond, is I think Meralco has a good chance to finally score one on Ginebra. The other locals I think will cancel each other na. So the big man battle will decide the series I think. So if Japet will not play and Raymond will continue to play his game like against Magnolia, Meralco.
Magandang narrative yan. Magandang narrative yung big man and of course yung uncertainty ng status ni Japet and of course yung rise ni Raymond Almasan. Same issue, Ivan. Ano sa tingin mo ang magiging susi para mapanalunan ng either team ang PBA Governors Cup Finals? 1 minute. Ivan, go!
For me po, it will be a battle of adjustments between Coach Tim Cone and Coach Norman Black. While I agree rin po sinabi ni Brian na the locals will have to step up if they want to win the championship, I think it will also boil down rin po on who will win on this tactical war between the two coaches. Remind you, both of them have been successful in their careers, championship coaches, but this is the 4th time that they will meet, and I think Coach Tim Cone will want to will have to adjust to his system and try to pull off some surprises, while Coach Norman Black will try to do the same then and maybe try to get one against Ginebra. So it will be interesting then to see which one of those coaches will prevail in the end.
Well, alam mo, I'm very impressed with the way you analyze the games. Of course, kayong dalawa, you watch the PBA all the time, at of course, nandun kayo. So, but I'm really, really impressed, Ivan, with the way alam na alam ninyo ang mga mangyayari. Panoorin nyo yung interview natin with Tim Cone because halos ganyan ang mga sinasabi niya. And mainit na mainit. Right after he watched that Magnolia kontra Meralco, nakuha natin siya at nakausap natin siya kagabi. But again, this should be a blockbuster of a series. All we are hoping for is walang injury. Yun lang naman para ang mga teams ay pantay-pantay. We see who is the best. And at the end of the day, the fans will win. Maraming salamat sa inyong dalawa, Brian at Ivan, sa panahong binigay niyo sa amin ngayong umaga sa Power and Play.
Thank you, Kom.
Thank you po. Thank you, Kom.
Mga kaibigan, ang ating mga kaibigan sa Hanap Buhay, Brian Olanday and of course Ivan Suing sa Fast Take ngayong umagang ito. Naku, napakaganda ng seringan. Very exciting and of course aabangan dahil itong pang-apat na pagtatagpo nitong dalawang koponan na to. Binansagan nga ni Kinito Henson, ang aking kaibigan, na Manila Fantastico. Kasi naunsya may yung Manila Clasico So ginawa nating Manila Fantastico. Let's see kung gaano ka-fantastic itong seryeng ito. Alright, bago po tayo mag-break, isang paalala lamang mula sa ating mga kaibigan sa Smart. Puso Pilipinas is a movement to celebrate the Filipino athlete powered by Smart. Follow them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Get a chance to win exclusive Puso Pilipinas merch by sharing their Facebook pages or page in your social media accounts with hashtag Puso Pilipinas. The Giga Life app is the latest mobile app from Smart that lets you discover and enjoy your passions with the different Giga promos. It can be downloaded and used by Smart Postpaid, Smart Prepaid, Bro Prepaid, and TNT subscribers via the Apple or Google Play Store. What can the Giga Life app do for me? Check your balance. Monitor your current subscription. Top up using debit credit card. Subscribe to the latest Giga promos. Monitor your data consumption. Auto-detect your mobile number when you are connected to Smart Network one-tap subscription to the most popular offer, Giga Video 99. And of course, Power and Play is powered by Smart. Alright mga kaibigan, when we return, makakasama po natin the winningest coach in the PBA, Barangay Ginebra Head Coach Tim Cone, dito po sa Power and Play. Hatid sa inyo ng Cherry Loom, Cherry Tigo at ng Chooks to Go. Ang oras po natin, 8:27 ng umaga. This time check is brought to you by Birmingham Subdivisions. Come home to Birmingham.
I dare to dream big, to be a voice of my generation, to inspire resilience in the face of roadblocks. And in sharing my stories, I let others share in my passion.
Follow Kai's stories on Twitter and share yours with Smart Double Giga Stories. Share 2 times the passion with 2 gigabytes for Twitter and more. Guaranteed every day, plus data for all sites.
Simple, smart ako.
Alex, are you ready to have some fun on your first driving lesson?
Nag-uumapaw sa real chicken juice na swak sa panlasa ng buong pamilya. Available in sweet roast, pepper roast, at harissa roast variants. Chooks to go. Masarap kahit walang sauce. Tawag na sa Chooks to Go Delivery Hotline 8687-1010 o online sa chookstogodelivery.com or via GrabFood at Foodpanda.
Basta man siya, di kailangan ng mamahaling panlaba.
Sa surf, linis ay todo at aming best ever bango. Ang surf na gamit nyo na with our best ever bango. Sa surf, linis ay todo at aming best ever bango. Ang surf na gamit nyo, todo linis at aming best ever bango.
New Surf with Active Clean with our best ever bango versus previous formulations. Todo linis na singgaling ng mamahalin based on technical test versus Brand X powder and polyester.
Ang surf na gamit nyo, todo linis at aming best ever bango.
The heart of volleyball will spike again. Catch the Premier Volleyball League Open Conference 2022. Live games every weekdays and Sundays, 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. on One Sports.
Basta man siya, di kailangan ng mamahaling panlaba.
Sa surf, linis ay todo at aming best ever bango. Ang surf na gamit nyo na with our best ever bango. Sa surf, linis ay todo at aming best ever bango. Ang surf na gamit nyo, todo linis at aming best ever bango.
New Surf with Active Clean with our best ever bango versus previous formulations. Todo linis na singgaling ng mamahalin based on technical test versus Brand X powder and polyester.
Ang surf na gamit nyo, todo linis at aming best ever bango.
Mukhang kailangan ko na naman palitan ng bubong ko, pare. Mag-iisang taon pa lang yan. May tulo na kagad.
Ay, bossing! Baka naman kasi hindi matibay yung ginamit nyo. Dapat ang gamitin mo ay cherry loom, ang yerong aluminum. Basta yero, cherry loom. Tibay protektado sa pangmatagalang yero.
Noli Iyala Power and Play sa Radyo 5 92.3 News FM. Power and Play with Noli Iyala.
Naimbag na bigat sa lahat po ng ating mga suki sa Baguio City and of course sa Pangasinan. Magandang umaga din of course sa ating aking mga kababayan diyan po sa San Pablo City at sa Los Baños, Laguna. Nako sabi ko nga mainit na topic mga kaibigan, kasing init ng tag-init ng summer ay ang Governor's Cup Finals at kahapon nakumpleto na po ang huling sayaw, the last dance ng Governor's Cup. Ginebra kontra Meralco in another spectacular series that we await. 7 games po ito. At right after that game ng Magnolia at ng Meralco, nakapanayan po natin ang legendary coach na si Tim Cone, who is gunning or is entering his 35th finals and looking for his 24th title sa kanyang career. Ito po ang ating interview sa Power and Play ng the winningest coach ng PBA, Coach Tim Cone. And as promised, kasama po natin ngayon, the winningest coach in the PBA and back in the finals, no other than Coach Tim Cone of Barangay Ginebra. Tim, thanks for joining us here in Power and Play.
Well, if I wasn't in the finals, you wouldn't have me here right now. So I love coming here because it means I've done something well. So it's always great to be on the show, truly.
And I'm very happy to have you on the show. I'm sure a lot of Ginebra fans, as you said, this signifies the fact that you're going to be in the finals and will be more joy for all of them. Let me begin with this, Tim. About a month ago, and I was researching your journey here in this Governor's Cup. You admitted to being, quote unquote, discouraged by Ginebra's form then. You were coming off a loss to NLEX, 115-103, and you dropped to 7th and a tie for 7th and 8th place, 5-5 record. You beat Blackwater and Terra Firma before that, but you lost your game against NLEX. And then you said, for a kind of team we have and the kind of organization we have, that's unacceptable. How improbable, Tim, is this final stint if you look at it from that day a month ago?
Well, like I said, it was really a down time for us. We were coming back from the break, and we kind of had a murderer's row games. We'd lost to Magnolia and what I call the Christmas Day Massacre. And then, of course, we went on the break because of the pandemic. And then we came back, and we had Meralco, Talkentex, and San Miguel back to back to back. And we just did not play well in any of those games, and we just looked overmatched. And at that point, it looked like there was just no chance. And then, of course, we beat Terra Firma and in a tough game, and we beat Blackwater. And then we lose to NLEX, and that's the time you're talking about. And all the teams above us, we were just getting pummeled, by We were doing a good job of beating the teams below us, but we were losing out to the teams above us. And it was very discouraging at that point. We were all discouraged, and we needed to beat rain or shine just to get into the playoffs.
That's right.
Into the top 8. So luckily we did that. And I don't think people gave us much chance to beat Talking Tex, but we found a way, and I think that just kind of threw the momentum our way, and we've been living off that momentum ever since.
Were you at any point worried that you weren't going to make the playoffs with the form with your form at that time?
For sure, for sure. We weren't playing well together. I thought Japeth and Christian were struggling while they were on the floor together. Justin was still finding his legs. People forget that Justin didn't play for basically 2 years, and then he came back and played with us. I think he spent a short time in the Middle East playing and got COVID there, but he was really out of basketball for a long time. So he had a hard time getting himself back into peak form and peak shape, and so we were struggling. He was struggling, and when he struggles, we all struggle. And I thought our guards were getting beat up too. And our defensive metrics were at the bottom of the standings. We were the worst defensive team in the league, and I've always prided myself on having great defensive teams, and I think that was what was most discouraging.
Well, what turned it around, Tim? What turned it around for you? What did you change? Not only in terms of X's and O's, but I guess in terms of the mindset and the way the team was going through, or what they were going through. What changed it for you then?
Well, I think that we challenged the leadership on the team. We brought the team together and look. We've been through this. This is done. We can't do anything about it, but we can work from here. And but we actually just talked about leadership and how our leaders needed to step up and really lead in the way that we've always expected them to lead, and that's by example, less vocally but more by example, and just we did do some X's and O's. We did change some things up, especially on the defensive end, and I think guys started to take a hold of that, and there was a real good buy-in, and we started moving forward. And like I said, momentum is a really fickle thing. You either have it or you don't. And we just started to generate a little bit of momentum and kind of grabbed hold of that. And we've been going with it ever since. And Justin has been playing so much better.
Oh, yeah.
He's back to the old Justin.
Let me just give you a little of something I heard over social media that some people are saying, and obviously in jest, that Ginebra is getting bored. You've come from behind in the past. We know that it's not always that you make the top 4 and you still make it all the way to the final. So some people are just saying, Ginebra's getting bored. They know they're talented enough that they can make it to the finals. What do you say to that? To those statements like that?
Well, it was a difficult conference. We didn't have Stanley, like I said, we didn't have Japeth in the series. We didn't have Jared Dillinger. We missed Joe for most of the conference, and one key guy that people never talk about, we missed Aljon Mariano. He's kind of our tough guy, our physical guy, and kind of leads us in that. And we didn't have him around as well. So we were missing a lot of pieces and just trying to make do as we went along. And boredom, I don't think we ever. I don't know where that word came from. I know you get a little bit of a hangover, and from the success that you do have, and we had some success. We won the 2 championships prior to the last bubble, but I think that last bubble kind of woke us up and said we got to play better, but it kind of carried over a little bit into this conference before we were able to pick it up again. But we never go into a conference thinking we're going to be at the bottom and then work our way to the top. But we never think about that one. That's not our game plan.
And that's going to be very risky. Obviously,
Yes.
that's something that
That's what happened to us.
no coach would do. Talk and Text and NLEX, the two teams that you've played in the quarterfinals and in the semifinals respectively, beat Ginebra in the elimination round. But they beat Ginebra with different imports, practically. And obviously, when you met the Talk and Text in that knockout game, they had changed their import. When you met NLEX in the semifinals, KJ McDaniels was gone. Do you think that this played a significant role, not only in that particular series, but also in the way you had actually prepared for those two teams?
Well, do you think Meralco will change before we play him? We're all hoping. 3 in a row, that would be nice. It's always a gamble to change an import. Whether it be because you want to change them or because something happened. Because it's a switch in chemistry. We're never going to look at a team and feel sorry for them and say, well, they had to go through this, and therefore, or we feel lucky that happened. We feel like we earned it, and we had our own issues and our own injuries that we had to overcome. So, was that good fortune? Probably. But good teams take advantage of those opportunities, and I think our guys really took care of it. And
plus the fact that the imports that came on over to the two teams were no pushovers. Those are still very good imports, obviously. I know
it's just really more of a change of chemistry. It's not the talent of the import. You can bring over the best import, but if he can't play well or understand the league or get used to the referees or know who his best players are on his team, that you're always going to struggle. And that's one of the reasons, I've always been kind of criticized for not changing imports. I always come back with the same imports. And that's primarily the reason we do. If we see a guy that's good and who fits, we're going to keep going with them, but we're not going to experiment with bringing somebody else in who may not get along the same way. So that's why we've had the Sean Chambers and the Justin Brownlees over the years. I've been very adverse to changing imports. I think it's always trouble.
And it's been spelling success almost always. Tim, I know you have a special place that you keep in your heart for Coach Chot and Coach Yang. These are two veteran coaches that I know challenges you so much. What kind of unique challenges do teams of Chot and Yang bring that make victories over their teams so special?
Well, Chut and I have been rivals ever since he left Alaska in 1994 or 95, and he was my assistant for a number of years, and then he became my assistant in the national team when I coached the Centennial team, and then I became his assistant when he coached the national team. So our careers have intertwined quite a bit. I was just really happy that he was out of the league for a number of years. That made me feel really good because I've always had a hard time with his teams. We're ironically, although we've worked together, we are actually polar opposites in our approach to the X's and O's of the game. I think philosophically, leadership-wise, what we expect from our players, those things are all very similar. But the actual X's and O's, he's very guard-oriented. I'm more big man-oriented. He's more pressure. I'm more execution, half-court type of play. So, our when we play each other, our styles really are different. And we've always historically had problems with Chut Reyes teams. And but I have great admiration for him. I think he's been our best ever national team coach. The things he did in the World Championships were just absolutely amazing. The same goes for Yang. Yang has been around almost as long as I have. And I came in 89. I think he came in 91.
That's right.
we've been battling for years and years and years. Norman left to coach Ateneo for a while. Chart left to coach the national team for a while. But me and Yang, we've just been battling it out for forever. And the physicality of his teams, the relentlessness of his teams, they're just so relentless. That's the thing we talked about going into the series with this team was that we had to battle their relentlessness because they just don't back down ever, and they play a full 48 minutes literally every game, and that's really hard to get your players to do. And with his system, he's able to do that. So
before I talk about your coming finals, I want to just touch a little bit about your semifinal series with NLEX. Obviously, Barangay Ginebra was the better team and clearly dominated that series. But was it closer than the actual series score? Because you had dominated the first two games. You almost won in a sweep, except for that mental lapse by LA. But, it looked like you had the number of NLEX throughout that series.
No, well, first of all, game one, we were down 16 points in the first half. So we were able to come back and win that. Game two, we were down 11 in the second quarter and was able to come back and win that one. So, we were talking about that as a team and saying, if one or two things go wrong when they get up by 16 and they all of a sudden hit a three or, we miss a layup or something like that, then they're going to zoom ahead and we'll never recover. But as it turned out, we were able to, play this, what we call the swings of the game. And we were able to bring the lead back and make it manageable and to a point where we could actually end up going ahead. So those first two games were really a toss-up. And obviously game three was a toss-up. Even though everybody talks about the miscue of LA, even if that he comes down, he's still got to make that 3-point shot instead of driving to the two. That would have been a difficult shot to make. So, it was a lot closer. I thought we came out with really good intention in game four, intention and attention in game four. And that was the only game I really felt really comfortable that we won. And I think that was a lot of pressure on them being another do or die game.
Let me go to your team now. You've talked about them, how great Justin has been, how the Filipino supporting crew has just been terrific. But of course, they started slow. How does this team compare to all of the past Barangay Ginebra teams that you've coached, maybe the recent future, in terms of talent, in terms of preparedness, and in terms of the spirit? Now, especially climbing out of that hole that you put yourselves in back in the elimination round.
Well, that's a good question. I think that like I said, we've overcome a lot of adversity this conference, and we always talk about what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And we always say, as long as our chemistry stays intact, as long as we don't break apart, everything we go through will always make us stronger. And so, this has made us stronger as a team. It may not be as talented as some of the other teams, again, because we don't have a Stanley. At the moment, we don't have a Japeth. Those are two basic superstars that you've taken out of your lineup. And we're trying to mix and match and trying to figure out game to game who's going to step up. We've been fortunate to have a Jeff Chan step up, and it almost seems miraculous for him to come out and play the way he has, and he's just showing so much heart. And picking up Nards Pinto was godsend, and I got to really tip my cap to Coach Al Francis Chua for pulling that off for us, because we really needed someone like that to step in and help us out, and we got him mid-conference, and he is fitless like a glove. So I think some of the other teams, because of our injuries right now, I think some of the other Ginebra teams we had in the past were more talented, but I think this is a very tight, polished group who is very experienced, and the leadership is very experienced in LA and Justin and Joe, and Scotty has become a leader as well. And we tried hard to put the ball more in Scotty's hands, and try to take a little the pressure off of LA. So he's not handling the ball quite as much as he used to, and we're throwing it over to Scotty. And, and Scotty has taken the ball and run with it, obviously. He's done really well.
Oh, he's done so well that, many people are already, crowning him as the best player of the conference. And I wouldn't be surprised. I want to talk a little bit about Justin Brownlee here, Tim. He had a dominating performance in the NLEX series. Of course, he was terrific in the TNT series, 67 points, 30 rebounds in 2 games. I mean, those are incredible numbers. Can he get any better? Are we seeing peak Brownlee, or are we going to see a better Brownlee even in the finals?
Well, the thing about Justin is that he continues to evolve. He reminds me so much of Bobby Parks, Sr. I coached against Bobby throughout his career. And always one thing I said about Bobby Parks is that it didn't matter what kind of defense you came up with. Whatever you came up with, he has seen before. He had battled before because, everybody did everything they could to try to stop Bobby Parks, and you couldn't stop him. Maybe you limited his touches a little bit. Maybe you could lower his numbers a little bit, but you could never stop him. And that's, and Bobby would evolve his game through the years because of what all the coaches would do. And I really feel that's the pattern that Justin has gone through. Justin has evolved his game. He's so much better now than he was when he first came to the Philippines.
Wow.
His first, he has grown leaps and bounds.
That's saying a lot. That's saying a lot.
Well,
he was terrific when he first came here. And
he was not a real one-on-one player. He wasn't really a ball handler. Remember when he played in college and when he played in the summer league in the NBA, he was really a stretch 4, strictly a stretch 4, who would stay at the top of the key, shoot jump shots, because I scouted him, and but he played as a big man. Even though he was only 6'5", he was guarding 6'10" guys, 6'9" guys all the time on the other side of the floor, and then he would stretch them out playing the power forward position, and I thought that would equate well with us. The funny story about Justin, which I always tell the players, because I always tell them when he said never judge an import by their first game. We would scout an import by their first game. He said, never judge an import by their first game. And they were telling me the reason why is because when Justin came in his first game, I was telling anybody that would listen, that he was such a great 3-point shooter, that he was an awesome 3-point shooter. And, this was like the first import that I had was going to be a really great 3-point shooter. And in the first game, he's 0 for 8 from the 3-point line. Up a couple air balls. They were off the rim hard, and I was like embarrassed, hey, I scouted this guy, but he can't make a 3. And then in game 2, he was 1 for 7. He finally made one. I think after his 13th try, he finally made a 3-point shot, and he was like 1 for 7. And but he was doing everything else. He was rebounding, defending, running the floor. Right. He was still putting up good numbers, but he couldn't make a 3. And then I think the third game, he was like 5 for 7. And then everybody started to realize that, he was a great 3-point.
And up to now, he's still doing that. And he's still.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, because the defenses have all focused on him through the years, he's had to change. I always tell, you might get him one game. You might figure out something different for one game. But if you try it the second game, you're dead. He'll figure it out. He'll destroy you. And that has been his pattern. And so every time someone does something new, he learns something and he adds it to his game and he just continues to evolve.
Let's talk about the finals, Tim. It just finished right now, and you will be playing Meralco Bolts in the Governor's Cup finals a 4th time in so many years. And, obviously, this is going to be very, very interesting. First of all, are you surprised that Meralco got through Magnolia?
I'm not surprised because I know Meralco, and they've been through the ringers. They are an experienced team. They're an experienced group. I thought they were more experienced than Magnolia in terms of playing those kind of games because we've had so many of those type of games with them. So I'm not surprised. I thought Magnolia was going to be the favorite team going into Game 5, only because Magnolia has just been so good this conference. But and Mike Harris has been just dominating. He was dominating in Game 4, but obviously, Mike struggled early, and then he got hurt and didn't get to play down the stretch. So that was a difference maker for them.
As you said, you were not surprised. Of course, this series could have been either the Devil or the Deep Blue Sea. I mean, Magnolia is number one team. Meralco comes in here and squeaks past them, and now they're in the finals. What matchups are you concerned about now that you are going to begin to prepare against Meralco? What are the matchups that you're looking at that may be critical to the series?
Well, without saying too much, because I'm sure someone from Meralco is watching this, or will watch it later. I don't want to throw too much at them, but obviously the import Bishop he's tough to handle because he can do so many things. He can beat you in so many ways. He's not incredibly strong in any one thing, but he is really good at many things. He can shoot from the perimeter. In our game that we played against him, he was lights out from the 3-point line. He can get to the basket. He's a great rebounder. He's long defender. He can post up. He does so many things well. And so you can't, like a lot of imports, if they're big time scorers, you can focus on, trying to stop them from scoring and doubling or whatever. But Bishop, it's hard to figure out exactly where he's going to beat you at all the time. And that was what makes him really difficult. Mm-hmm. And then Newsom has always been so difficult to guard for us. He's a big guard, and he overpowers some of our guards. They play big. They play a big lineup. They can put out Quinto, Maliksi, so they're going to have a big guard lineup out there. So there's a lot of issues, and I think the biggest thing is that they play really well together.
The fact that they have not won over Ginebra in the Governor's Cup finals in the last 3 times that you've played, does that give you confidence, Tim?
No, in fact, just the opposite. You start thinking of the odds, and you start thinking, maybe there's gotta change sometime. Do we have a secret formula against them? We certainly don't. I wish we did. We just pull out the bottle, spread the sauce on, and just okay, now we know. We don't. Every series we've had against them has gone down the wire. You remember the shot. The
shot.
The one in the Philippine arena that could have gone either way.
Yeah.
We actually played them in the semifinals in the first bubble, and we won on a last-second shot. In the corner by Scotty Thompson.
That's right.
That knocked him out, and we went on to the finals and won the championship against Talkatex. So every series has been incredibly tight, and could have gone. You talked about it with the NLEX series. Our series against Meralco were much closer. It could have gone either way. So yeah, I worry about it. One shot here or there could go in their favor this time. So. Yeah,
I don't want to ask you about your strategies. Obviously, you're going to be working on this. First order of the day. Now that you know your opponent, I guess it's really to get to your boys to start working on your game plan. So I don't want to make you reveal anything here, but just one thing, Tim. Norman has talked about and preached defense, and they won because of defense against Magnolia. How tight, how tough is it to play Meralco's defense?
Well, like I said, they play big, so they have, they cover a lot of area. They're very connected with each other. They shut down driving lanes really well. And the one thing I was noticing tonight with those two teams, that both teams get back on defense extremely well. And that's where all defense starts, is how well you get back. If you can get back and get settled and then you can start coordinating each other, then you can put a good defense together, and they get back extremely well. We're going to have to match them stop for stop. That's always been, I'm a true believer that defense wins championships, and so you can win with your offense through the eliminations, but when it comes playoff time, your defense has to show up. So I expect this to be a highly hard-fought defensive series. I know Norman loves to talk about his defense, and we do too. And that's one of the things that we're going to kind of, put our hat on, is that we have been better as a defensive team as the playoffs has gone forward.
Given that, Tim, in the NLEX series, somebody came up, big. Jeff Chan came up big in that final game, and obviously that's somebody that you don't expect. No, given that this is going to be a tough defensive series, just one person that you hope will come up big outside of your top players in Ginebra, among your rotational players.
Well, I think that honestly, I think that Aljan Mariano will be a key guy. We expect him to come back into the series. We're hoping he can be ready for game one. And I think he'll be a key component that we haven't shown yet. I think people don't realize all the things that he does for us that don't show up on the box score. He's not going to put up 20, 25 points like a Jeff Chan, but he will rebound, he will defend, a key player. He'll make big plays when it counts, and that's been his history. So we're hoping that he can come back, get his confidence, and early and get into the mix, and maybe he can be an X factor in the series.
It's going to be a terrific series, and everyone is just getting ready for this war. I'm excited, and I think everyone is. And as a final parting shot to this interview, you are in your 36th finals in your career. You're gunning for your 24th championship. Of course, the most number of any coach, whether it's current or retired. Is the excitement, is the motivation still there? And what gives you that drive? A championship is a championship. I know that's a lot, but given is this going to be a new experience again? Is this something that, hey, I'm just back here and I'm going to do my job, but does this still excite you?
You should ask my wife here what I'm like at home right now, getting ready for this match.
Christina!
I think she'd tell you that I am totally motivated. And, there's nothing like playing in the finals. There's nothing like playing for a championship. And I think even now, more than ever, I know they're not going to keep coming around. And so I'm cherishing each one as they come. And I'm motivated. I think this is going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, we are all looking forward to this finals that will be between Ginebra and Meralco, and we certainly hope that this will extend. I know you don't want that. You don't want to hear that, but for all the fans, they want this to be a 7-game series. So we're all looking forward to that. And the last time you played Meralco, it's always been a 7-game series. So just as a final question, how long do you think the series will go?
We always plan for 7. I think that's one thing we always do. We always plan for 7, and I think even from game 1, you're thinking it's going to be a 7-game series. You look at the whole thing. You don't. One of the things that we always talk about, you don't base the series on one game. I mean, one game doesn't matter. You don't think about one game. You're always moving on to the next game, because it's really a 7-game series. It's 4 games. So you're not out there to win one game. You're out there to win the series. So if you get blown out in one game, it's not that big a deal as long as you win the series.
Well, you've always said that you're not there to win games. You're there to win championships. I've always heard that from you. And I certainly wish you all the best, Tim. And we look forward to this wonderful Governor's Cup finals. Thank you so much for joining us today. Good luck.
Thank you for having me on the show. I really enjoy you. You're my favorite person to talk to. So always have been. So it's an honor to be on. And I hope we can put on a good show for everybody.
Mga kaibigan, yan po ang ating kaibigan si Coach Tim Cohn, the winningest coach in the PBA in his 36th finals, gunning for his 24th title. At ngayon po kasama of course ang Barangay Ginebra kontra Meralco Bolts. Magsisimula ang seryeng yan Miyerkules, ha? Abangan nyo po yan. Miyerkules na ang Game 1 ng Governor's Cup Finals. Alright, before we take a break, pasok muna natin ang ating paboritong mga viral videos at pop culture sa mundo ng palakasan. Ito po ang Stop and Pop. Ang video natin ngayon ay siguro dapat i-entitle natin Catch Me If You Can. Kasi ilang ba ang daliri natin sa mga kamay? Ha? Sa isang kamay, 5. Ito pong video ito, ipapakita kung paano sambutin ang isang American football sa pamamagitan ng 5 hanggang 1 daliri. Let's roll the video. 5, walang problema yan. Basic ang pagsalo. 4, kaya pa, siyempre. Yung 3 daliri, next level na yan. Ang 2, di ba masakit na yan? Yung 1, ano ba yan? May super glue na ba yung daliri nitong mamang ito? Wow! Spectacular catching. Dito po sa ating Stop and Pop. Alright mga kaibigan, sa amin pong pagbabalik, makakasama natin ang CEO ng East Asia Super League, ang pinakabagong liga na papasok sa ating bansa. Walang iba kundi si Mr. Matt Bayer. Sa pagbabalik po ng Power and Play, hatid sa inyo ng Cherry Loom, Cherry Tigo at ng Chooks to Go. Ang oras po natin, 6 na minuto makalipas ang 9 ng umaga. This time check is brought to you by Birmingham Subdivisions. Come home to Birmingham.
I dare to dream big. To be a voice of my generation. To inspire resilience in the face of roadblocks. And in sharing my stories, I let others share in my passion.
Follow Kai Stories on Twitter and share yours. With Smart Double Giga Stories. Share 2 times the passion with 2 gigabytes for Twitter and more. Guaranteed every day, plus data for all sites.
Simple, smart ako.
Alex, are you ready to have some fun on your first driving lesson?
Nag-uumapaw sa real chicken juice na swak sa panlasa ng buong pamilya. Available in sweet roast, pepper roast, at harissa roast variants. Chooks to Go. Masarap kahit walang sauce. Tawag na sa Chooks to Go Delivery Hotline 8687-1010 o online sa chookstogodelivery.com or via GrabFood at Foodpanda.
Basta man siya, di kailangan ng mamahaling panlaba.
Sa surf, linis ay todo at aming best ever bango. Ang surf na gamit nyo na with our best ever bango. Sa surf, linis ay todo at aming best ever bango. Ang surf na gamit nyo, todo linis at aming best ever bango.
New Surf with Active Clean with our best ever bango versus previous formulations. Todo linis na singgaling ng mamahalin based on technical test versus Brand X powder and polyester.
Ang surf na gamit nyo, todo linis at aming best ever bango.
Mukhang kailangan ko na naman palitan ng bubong ko, pare. Mag-iisang taong pa lang yan. May tulo na kagad.
Ay, bossing! Baka naman kasi hindi matibay yung ginamit nyo. Dapat ang gamitin mo ay Cherry Loom, ang yerong aluminum. Basta yero, Cherry Loom. Tibay protektado sa pangmatagalang yero.
Broadcasting live from TV5 Media Center. 25,000 watts ng balita, impormasyon, serbisyo, DWFM, Radyo 5, 92.3, News FM.
Power and Play. Game na sa Radyo 5 92.3 News FM. Power and Play with Noli Iyala.
Babalik po ang Power and Play at bago po tayo magpatuloy, we'd like to thank all of our sponsors that continue to support the show. Thank you so much sa ating po mga kaibigan mula sa Cherry Loom. Ang yerong may aluminum sa ganitong pabago-bago ang panahon, mainit na mainit, tapos minsan uulan ha. Kailangan po natin ng matibay at protektadong bubong. Dapat ang bubong ay yerong may aluminum. Kapag may aluminum, tsak na pang matagalan. At isa lang ang alam kong dekalidad na yerong may aluminum, yan ang Cherry Loom. Tibay protektado sa pang matagalang yero. Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum. Marami din po salamat of course sa Cherry Tigo. Saluhin ang swerteng hatid ng Year of the Tiger. Own a brand new Tigo 2 Pro crossover with Cherry's Year of the Growling Tigo promo. Sa halagang 68,000 low down payment, may sporty 5-seater ka na safe in any road condition dahil mas mataas ang ground clearance nito kaysa sedan. Spacious din ang seats at legroom kaya mas komportable mapa-driver or passenger. May 9-inch infotainment system pa na pwedeng i-connect sa MirrorLink and Apple CarPlay para mas convenient at chill ang travel mo. Pili na from the 6 lucky colors of Tigo 2 Pro: Passion Orange, Lava Red, Graphite Gray, Vivid White, Tuscan Beige at Laser Yellow. Move for more, #move for more colors and adventure. Bisitahin ang www.cherryauto.ph to know more about the fun-to-drive Tigo 2 Pro. Chooks to Go, ang nag-iisang manok ng bayan. Patuloy po ang kanilang pagbigay ng kanilang mga serbisyo, including the latest Chooks to Stay at Chooks, the first dine-in restaurant of Chooks to Go. Visit them at Level 1 Robinson's Place, Lipa, Batangas. Of course, subukan nyo po of course ang kanilang napaka-popular na quarter chicken with only Chooks rice and soup. Abangan nyo po ang mga iba pang pasabog ng Chooks to Go ngayong taon pong ito. Chooks to Go, ang nag-iisang manok ng bayan. Marami din po salamat of course sa Joyride, ang bago ninyong kasundo. Magpadala with confidence kahit para sa negosyo o personal bulk deliveries man yan. Kayang-kaya yang i-deliver securely with Joyride. Of course, bukas na po ang ating motorcycle taxi service at ang pinakabagong hatid ng Joyride Philippines, ang Joyride Car. So download now the latest Joyride Super App. Elms Resto Bar Group, Elms Seafood Paluto, the latest offering of the Elms Resto Bar Group. Located at Unit 2, Ground Floor, Calle Bistro, Ever Commonwealth, Quezon City. Enjoy their delectable seafood menu in a relaxed, casual dining atmosphere for your Salo-Salo seafood meal. Visit also Carlitos Sisig Seafood Paluto along Shaw Boulevard, now open for dine-in and take-out from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Suabe ang timpla, pang Pinoy at international ang lasa. Skin, your face and body anti-aging center.
Thank you!
With branches at Alabang Town Center and Green Hills, San Juan. Abangan niyo po ang kanilang mga daily or monthly promos. Call their branches for your skin assessment at 0917-890-1640 or 0977-809-8886. Birmingham Subdivisions. Come home to Birmingham. Located at Antipolo, Cainta, General Trias, Cavite, Marikina, Pasig, Rodriguez, San Mateo, and Tagaytay. Building community since 1984. Celebrate your new home in Birmingham Subdivisions. Check out their FB page or call 0939-921-7458 or 891-27731. ASEA Subic Beach Resort.
Thank you!
Experience the getaway that you deserve and dive into limitless happenings, rejuvenating experiences, and gastronomic adventures. ASEA Subic Beach Resort. Nice din po namin magpasalamat sa Lick Hobby. Weave by Weave, hand in hand. Check out their IG pages And of course, Power and Play is powered by Smart. Live Smart! Marami din po salamat of course sa Derm Clinic kay Dr. Angela Pineda. Alright, mga kaibigan, sa lahat po ng mga tagapagtaguyod ng Power and Play, thank you so much. Alright, at this point, it's time to bring in our next guest. And we're going to be talking about a league that is making a lot of noise and will be making a lot of waves when it starts opening its doors this year. And to talk to us about the East Asia Super League, no other than their Chief Executive Officer, live from Los Angeles, Mr. Matt Bayer. Matt, good morning.
Hey, how are you?
Thanks so much for joining us on Power and Play, Matt.
How are you, Commissioner?
Well, I'm good. Thanks so much for joining us. I know you're in LA and for taking this time out. You know, I want to talk about the league, EASL, but before I go to that, we know that a lot of your plans had changed because of the pandemic. You were supposed to open back in 2021, but because of what has happened to the world, a lot of things obviously have to adjust. Walk us through how difficult it has been for EASL to navigate this pandemic problem and your concerns moving forward for EASL.
Thank you for that question. I think the biggest thing for EASL during the pandemic was really transitioning from an events company to more of a media company, and now we're in the process of transforming back from a media company to an events plus media company. We really learned during the pandemic how to engage with our fans better on social media and to create a lot of short form content around the players and basketball industry influencers to try to reach as young of a fan base as possible. We're really targeting Gen Z and younger millennials. And so we're really excited to get back on the court October 12th and to start games, because that just makes the whole storytelling around the game really come 360 when you actually have a game product that's out on the court. So I think we learned a lot. We were as resilient as possible during the pandemic, and now we're ready to jump out of it with a lot of fire in our bellies.
It's good to hear that there is a date already in the horizon, October 12th, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
But again, everything is very fluid. Are you still concerned about maybe the pandemic, and do you have contingency plans just in case there is a surge? Of course, we're hoping not, but just in case there is a surge in cases.
At this point, no. I would say that we're really just going forward, assuming that after 2 years of this pandemic, that most places don't want to close down again. And I think, at least for this sort of what would be categorized by many regulators as business travel or official type visits. This type of travel for high profile games like EASL should be considered a priority. So we really want to bring great entertainment to the Philippines and all of the other regions that we cover. And so it's something that governments and businesses and fans and everyone wants to see again, because it's been like 2 years of a lot of quietness.
Well, are you requiring the players to be vaccinated in accordance with, I know you're a home and away league, but is that going to be part of the rules of the EASL, that it will have to follow the protocols of each country?
As far as I am aware, all of the leagues that participate in EASL have had vaccinations of their players, and so we expect that players to be vaccinated. I mean, we're still in the process of getting our final season operations manual completed, but the general policy for EASL is like everyone should be vaccinated. So. And for international travel between all of these regions, it's just not possible unless you're vaccinated. So I really don't have any concerns about vaccination related issues. There may be some players who have beliefs contrary to the norm, but from what I've seen, it's not going to be an issue.
Well, we're certainly hoping Kyrie Irving will not, be playing and will have any problems here. But let me ask you, Matt. The PBA recently has come out in full support of the EASL, and the announcements have been made, and teams will be sent to the inaugural season. How significant is the presence of the PBA in the opening season of the EASL?
It's extremely significant because the Philippines has not only top teams in the league with such a legacy for so many years, second only in the world to the NBA, but it's also the fans are just so passionate, and so many people love basketball in the Philippines, and without Filipino fans and the presence of their voices and that excitement, the game just loses so much flavor in the region. And so, the PBA coming on and being the last league to sign on to EASL really is just like the crowning jewel of what this whole property is going forward.
Was it difficult to get their approval? What were the main issues? You were talking about them being the last one to get on board. Were there any issues that had to be ironed out?
There's issues that I really believe that despite the resiliency of the PBA and all of the other leagues that we work with in Asia, there's a lot of issues that come into people's faces front and center, just about survival and about how to change the way that we operate in this challenging environment. Any challenge that could have been, imagined, and then many that were not imagined have happened in the last couple of years. And so, for us, we really just kind of had to find the right time and moment when there was enough hope of normalization that this could become a priority issue to the PBA. And I think that was what we worked really hard on, was how to frame why EASL is good for the PBA and Filipino fans, and how we're going to add value to Filipino basketball.
All right. And in terms of specifics, like conflict of schedule, was that something that was on the table? I know another issue that I wanted to ask you is about poaching of players. Was that also part of the discussions prior to the approval?
Yeah, so the schedule is always we match with the FIBA calendar, so there's no conflicts there with the windows. And then with the PBA, it was really just it's a coordinating effort, because there's not a ton of games, so it's fairly feasible to coordinate with advanced planning. So that's a pretty easy issue. And in terms of the poaching, this is I guess there's a lot of mixed perceptions on this, depending on whose side of the issue you're on. And for us, we're having an advisory board that's forming most likely in the first part of May. And that every league has a seat on the advisory board, including leagues which have been benefiting from great young Filipino players going and signing there. And everyone will have a platform to discuss these issues and to meet each other and to sit down face to face, because I think one thing everyone is in agreement is that this type of a platform will help Asian basketball get stronger and to become more competitive with teams in Europe and North America. And so, trying to work together is really important to form that cohesive unit.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that, and I'm really glad that now they'll have an opportunity to really sit down with their counterparts and really fix this whole matter. And obviously, the EASL is providing that particular venue and, of course, platform. There's another announcement, of course, that was made by the PBA, and that is to allow one of your teams that's coming from the Greater China area, to be part of the Governor's Cup of the PBA next season, and that is the Bay Area Chunyu Phoenix. Again, what was the reason behind this, Matt? What was the motivation to bringing in a guest team into the PBA?
Well, so there's first off, the team has now been called the Bay Area Dragons.
Bay Area Dragons. All right.
Yeah, there's just because out of respect for Phoenix in the PBA.
Okay.
So we, Hong Kong is I'm sure many Filipinos know is that the border control situation is very harsh there at the moment, and it's loosened up recently. But we don't predict that within this year that the travel conditions would allow for us to have a team flying home and away around the region and traveling in and out of Hong Kong. And so that team, which was originally based in Hong Kong, we had dialogue with the PBA, which was actually Chairman Ricky Vargas has been very supportive of this concept and actually raised it about the same time that we were planning to ask the PBA if they would be interested. We were actually on a show, and then the Hong Kong border situation was raised, and then he said, "Well, why don't if they need a home, come to the Philippines, come to the PBA," and that kind of kicked it all off. And then on the recent trip that my partner Henry Cairns and I made to the Philippines, we met with the Board of Governors, and it was unanimously approved. And the only condition was that we changed the name from the Phoenixes to the Dragons. And so that's we're just so excited to have this new face of Chinese basketball with players coming from mainland China, from the CBA, from Taiwan, from the P League and the T1 League, and also from Hong Kong, some of the best players from there coming in and playing on the same team. And it's just going to be a very historic thing. And to have a Chinese team facing up on a regular basis against the PBA teams is just it's a great international matchup within the PBA itself.
Well, I fully understand this concept. I was the last commissioner to bring in a foreign team into the PBA as a competitor in a particular conference. So I've always, that was back in 2004, Matt. So I was way ahead of you. I was way ahead of your time during that time. But one thing that PBA fans always ask is this team going to be competitive? I think that's going to be key to the success of bringing in a foreign team. And what can you say about that in terms of how competitive this Bay Area Dragons will be?
Yes, it's going to be very competitive. It's going to have a world-class coach who's really second to none outside of the NBA. It's going to have great players from all over Greater China region, including those leagues and that I mentioned previously. So we have a generous budget. We're going to have great foreign import players, and but EASL has 2 import players, and so they'll be on the PBA roster, however is it's appropriate to put them on based on the rules of the conference. And it'll be a great team. I mean, I think fans will not be disappointed by this team whatsoever.
Well, we're certainly excited. Looking forward to the team coming over and being based in Manila. Actually, let me talk about EASL. I have a few minutes here left. I know that this is a league that is having the members of the league will be leagues itself, from Korea, from China, from Japan, and of course from the Philippines. Based on that concept, how stable do you think this will be, Matt, for the coming years? You've already projected that you want to be top 3 in the world till 2025. But how stable do you think EASL will be moving forward, and how sustainable will your model be for the future?
I mean, look, like in this world, I think we're in a challenging global situation. So if you ask about stability, that's a hard question to answer. What I can say is that we are honing in on a very desirable demographic fan base, which I mentioned earlier is the Gen Z, younger millennials. These are our fans of the future. These are, they're going to have families, they're going to have kids, and we want this group of people to really love basketball. And there's such a passion for national team games. The NBA has been doing so well across Asia, and just something new to bring fire to the domestic leagues and to harness that passion of national team competition and give it to the fans. That's very valuable content, from a business perspective, and brands want exposure on it. They want exposure to a platform of 1.7 billion people around the region. So we have, as a company, great investors. Historically, we continue to bring on partners for investment and supporting our future growth. And there's no doubt that the financial industry believes that we're going to be a solid company growing for years to come. And if you look at the success of other sort of single entity sports leagues, sort of like UFC or F1 and whatnot, they've done very well. And internationally, besides the NBA, UEFA Champions League in Europe, which is sort of the same concept and same qualification system, is the most valuable league in the world. So I think we're stable. I'm not sure if that's predictable, but I think we're going to be really successful.
Well, when you look at your your investors there, I heard that there are NBA players, Baron Davis and Ron Artest and Shane Battier already part of this. So it really looks bright in terms of the future. But again, as you said, a lot of things can still happen, and we certainly are wishing that the EASL continues to grow. And talking about growth, as a final question, Matt, what are you looking at in terms of growth opportunities here? I mean, I've heard about other leagues applying. Is that prize money going to be a regular fixture? How is this going to be moving forward for the EASL?
So we start the season with 8 teams, and we're going to expand in season 3 to 16 teams. So, that's the biggest growth mechanism. So we'll go from like 28 games in total, so 24 regular season games and 4 Final Four games right off the bat. And then when we go to 16 teams, we'll have 52 games in total.
Wow.
So the game content will increase quite a bit in the third year. And as we grow, we're also going to have the mainland China CBA join us, and we may be open to other leagues. We have interest from Southeast Asia, in other countries, Australia. There's now FIBA has just announced they formed the West Asia Super League together with financiers from Dubai. So we may have opportunities to work with them in the future. The expansion road, I think, in Asia is very bright. There's so much potential and energy, and it's just like it's the center of hope of growth in the world. So I think our expansion will be very exciting and dynamic.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to it. I know that there will be more developments as we move forward to October 12, and we certainly hope you can come back on Power and Play and announce many of the changes or the developments, especially the run-up to your opening day. Thanks so much, Matt, for joining us today.
Thank you, Nolie. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
You too. Mga kaibigan, ng Chief Executive Officer ng EASL, Mr. Matt Bayer, sa coming season ng East Asia Super League. Alright. Well, abangan po natin yan. Marami pang mangyayari dyan. Bago po tayo magpasok natin ang ating huling guest, balikan muna natin ang some of the best moments in sports history. This week in sports history, March 30, 2001 or 21 years ago, nakuha ng nooy 15 anyos na si Michael Phelps ang kanyang unang world record. Tinapos ni Phelps ang 200-meter butterfly para sa nooy world record na 1 minute 54.58 seconds. Dahil dyan siya ang naging youngest male world record setter. At dyan na opisyal na nagsimula ang pagdomina ni Michael Phelps sa sport na swimming. 15-year-old Michael Phelps becomes the youngest male swimmer to break a record this week in sports history. Wow. And of course, he became one of the greatest swimmers of all time. Well, mga kaibigan, at this point, just before we end the show, syempre, ang ating final set of guests, ang ating ilalagay ang spotlight sa politics and sports sa In the Spotlight. Sila po ay naging PBA superstars. Hinangaan ninyo na naglaro for many years in the PBA, of course in the Collegiate League with UE and with LaSalle. They played in Pure Foods and Meralco, including Alaska at marami pang iba, and including Ginebra. At sila ngayon po ay nagsusubok na maging public servants muli. Ang ating po mga kasama sa In the Spotlight, walang iba kundi ang San Juan City Councilor si Paul Artadi at ang kandidato sa pagiging konsihal, Don Allado. Kasama po natin ngayon ang inyong mga paboritong dating PBA stars at ngayon mga talagang public servants para sa lungsod ng San Juan. Walang iba kundi si Konsihal Paul Artadi at ang dadating ng konsihal si Don Allado. Magandang umaga. Good morning. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us, Com. It's a pleasure to be here, and we miss you, and we watch your show. We always support you.
Thank you.
Yes. Good morning, and salamat sa pag-imbita niyo sa amin, Com. It's our pleasure to be in your show.
Alam mo, I know you're very busy, and syempre, marami kayong ginagawa ngayon, panahon na talaga ito ng eleksyon. But before that, alam mo, just your reaction, I guess, Paul and Don, parami ang athletes, no, na sumasama sa politics. Bakit kaya, Paul? What is your thought on that?
Siguro ako, for me, my experience, kaya naman ako sumabak sa politika. Yung matagal, sabihin, as a PBA player, mamahalin mo yung fans mo eh. Alam mo, crucial yan sa PBA yung fans. So, papaano mo sila i-approach, mahalin, yan ang key sa iyong paglalaro sa basketball. Na ihambing ko lang to sa politika. Parang yung puso ko, parang gusto ko tumulong talaga sa kapwa. Na pag nandyan ako sa San Juan, bumababa ako sa mga kapuspalad ko, mga kabarangay, yung masaya lang sila, nakikita ko, at yung konting thank you, na-appreciate ng puso ko eh. So siguro, yun yung nagpudyok sa akin para tumakbo bilang konsehal ng San Juan, para makatulong, give back sa aking mga kabarangay dyan. Kasi dyan naman talaga ako lumaki sa aking city, sa San Juan City, sa Barangay Balong Bato. So as an athlete, kailangan disiplinadong atleta. Ganyan din sa politika, kailangan disiplinado kang tumulong at maglingkod sa iyong mga kabarangay.
Don, you're a newcomer in this particular space. Why do you think dumadami ang athletes getting into politics?
Well, I think for me personally, I started in 2006 by supporting Mayor Francis nung time na yon. So every year, sumusuporta ako sa kanya. And napamahal na rin ako sa mga tao namin dito, mga San Juaneños. Ever since 2006 hanggang ngayon, tumakbo ako noong 2019. Hindi tayo pinalat, pero hindi rin tayo tumigil magserbisyo dito sa lungsod ng San Juan, under the guidance of Mayor Francis Zamora. Ngayon, as a former athlete, as a former PBA player, tinanong mo nga na bakit yung mga more and more athletes are shifting to politics. Well, ako, masasabi ko na ang athlete, kami sanay, basketball player, sanay sa teamwork setting. So dito kami sa San Juan, one big family, and we are operating as a team, as one unit. So malaking bagay din po yun para sa akin. Hindi lang ako mag-isa, may mga kakampi ako dito na inaasahan ko rin para tulungan ang bawat San Juaneño.
Alright. Well, before I get into the more meatier questions tungkol sa inyong career as well as your plans, no, I want to do a little icebreaker here. Ito sa ating In the Spotlight. We really want to keep it light. So I just want to do a little icebreaker, and I hope masasagot nyo to. Mabilis lang, isang tanong, isang sagot. Okay? Ready, gentlemen? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ang unang tanong ko sa ating icebreaker, mas gusto ninyong team name? Alam naman natin kayong dalawa ay naglaro para sa Pure Foods Organization. Anong mas gusto ninyong team name? Pure Foods TJ Hotdogs o Magnolia Hot Shots? Paul?
Ako, hotdog.
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 Alright. Okay, second, tungkol pa rin sa Magnolia at sa Pure Foods, favorite coach? Coach Ryan Gregorio o Coach Tim Cone? Don, ikaw una.
Tim Cone.
Tim Cone.
Ako, Ryan Gregorio, siyempre.
Ryan Gregorio. Siyempre, pareho kayo napunta dyan eh. Alright, yeah. And the third and final question. Ano ang mas mahirap panalunan o manalo? PBA Championship o isang eleksyon? Paul, ikaw muna.
Ako, mahirap ang pagiging konsehal. Oo, manalo. Alam mo ako, sabi ko nga, sorry, kwento ko lang. Unang sabak ko, pang-anim. Buti sumapit pa rin at nanalo.
Oo. Don?
Ako naman dito sa sa election, mas mahirap ito.
Talaga, mahirap yung sinabak ninyo. Mahirap talaga pinasok ninyo. But again, thank you for taking those questions. But let me ask you, Paul, ikaw two-term councilor ka. Sabi mo nga, mahirap, no? How has the transformation been? Yung bang pamula sa pagiging player, naging mahirap ba na ngayon ikaw ay basically legislator dahil ikaw ay konsehal, nasa sanggunian, and you do the laws, ordinances para sa bayan ng San Juan?
Yes. For me, yun lang ang mahirap. Okay, yung paggawa ng batas. Siyempre, wala naman tayong masyadong background dyan. Sa experience ko lang kinuha sa seatmate ko kung ano ba nangyayari sa loob ng session hall. Pero alam nyo, in fairness, nakagawa tayo ng dalawang magandang batas na nagawa natin sa San Juan City. Yun yung pagbibigay ng free senior citizen parking sa buong lungsod ng San Juan. At pangalawa, yung pagbibigay ng cash incentives. Author po ako niyan, nung pagbibigay ng cash incentives sa mga atletang San Juanenyo, makakapagbigay ng karangalan sa aming lungsod ng San Juan. Kagaya no, kunyari, napunta siya sa Southeast Asia, nakakuha siya games na nakuha siya ng bronze, gold, may cash incentive sa amin yan. So yun yung makabuluhang ordinansang ginawa ko. Pero alam niyo ang sikreto sa pagiging konsehal, hindi rin lahat ordinansa. Dapat tumulong ka sa iyong kabarangay. Diyan ka mararamdaman.
Don, nabanggit mo kanina, you have had the opportunity to help throughout for the last maybe 15 years. And now you're running again. Ano ang ginawa mo doon para maghanda? You know, it's not easy. As an athlete, you also, obviously, you take care of your body, you practice. Pero sa pagiging politiko, how do you prepare for something like this?
Siyempre, yung buhay basketballista, sanay tayo sa mga tao na lumalapit sa atin eh. Ngayon naman, sa mundo ng politika, baliktad. Tayo ang lumalapit sa kanila. Tayo ang pumunta sa kanila para tulungan sila. Ngayon, yung mga programa ko dito sa lungsod ng San Juan, ako ay tawag na Champ ng San Juan. Ito po ay libreng champurado, feeding program. So, alam mo naman, hindi ako nakaupo ngayon, pero tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang aking pagseserbisyo. Mahigit na 10,000 tao na napakain ko. Sa akin lang po yan. Wala po akong hinihingi na kabalik. At nakikilala ko yung mga tao dyan. Minamahal na rin po ako ng mga tao, ng mga kabarangay ko, mga kaalyado ko dito sa lungsod ng San Juan.
Don, I'll still stay with you. Anong nakuha mo as an experience from being a player na nagagamit mo ngayon in your campaign, in your attempt to become a public servant para sa lungsod ng San Juan?
Well, I think yung unang-una yung patience namin. I'm very patient dito sa amin. Siyempre, may mga tao na magko-complain, hindi sila nakakuha nito, hindi sila magsasalita sila ng ganyan. Pero you have to be very patient with them. Kailangan mo lang mahalin sila. Number 2 is the teamwork. Yun nga, in teamwork in basketball. Sanay ako in a team setting. Umaasa ako sa aking kakampi para magtulungan kami dito para makayos namin ang mga feeding programs, ang mga kailangan namin sundan ng mga events. So, teamwork setting is very crucial for us because kung mag-isa-isa lang kami, makikita ng tao yan eh. Hindi maganda kung solo-solo parati because then parang hindi kayo buo, hindi kayo kompleto. Makikita ng mga tao yan and it's not good. So, ngayon kami talaga, I really cherish the atmosphere of having a team together, working together.
Well, Paul, sabi ko nga kanina, you are a two-term councilor. And of course, before that, napaka-popular mo because you came from a terrific UE team that muntik na magkampiyon ng panahon na yun, with James, of course, with James Yap. And then nalipat ka sa dalawang pinaka-popular na team, from Pure Foods to Ginebra. And obviously, lahat yun, sinuklian ka ng paghanga ng mga fans mo. But is popularity enough sa pagiging konsyal? O ano pa ang hinahanap talaga ng botante?
Yeah. For me, it's a big factor. Alam nyo, if personality na tatakbo bilang konsyal, advantage yun eh. Kasi kilala ka na ng mga nasa bahay, yung mga hindi mo makakamayan. Yung nasa loob ng yung mga mayayaman. Alam mo yun, nanonood yan ng basketball or nanonood sa artista yan eh. So advantage yun. Ang mahirap yung hindi ka kilala at papasok ka ng politika. Kasi magpapakilala ka pa eh. So for me, advantage yun. Kaya ako, feeling ko, kaya ako nasugbit ko yung number 6 spot dahil sa pagiging player ko. I believe on that.
Well, now that you are going into your third term, and marami ka na nga, sabi mo nga, there are certain crucial na mga legislation na nagawa ka para sa lungsod. Ano itong bagong gagawin mo? Anong bagong plano mo as you move in and try to get the third term dun sa konseho?
Well, I will continue lang yung mga nagawa kong very, very effective. Kasi from 2016, noong unang takbo ko, number 6 councilor ako. Gumawa ako ng naisip ko mga projects na effective. Naging number 2 councilor po ako noong 2019. So ngayon pong tumatakbo ulit ako, I will still continue yung mga effective na project. Like yung isang very, very effective pero magastos, yung libreng pustiso sa mga taong walang ipin. Nakakatawa pero once nabigyan mo sila ng pustiso, hindi ka na nila makakalimutan mula sa isip nila at puso nila. Kasi binigyan mo sila ng confidence eh. So isa sa magandang project ko yan. So pagpapatuloy ko yan.
Oo, talagang nakakakuha ng confidence yan. Isipin mo, makakangiti ka na ng buong buo pag ikaw may pustiso na.
Of course, kaya hindi biro yung presyo nun. Biro yung magkano isang pustiso, di ba? Pero talagang sabi ko nga, when God blesses me, I bless other people. Yun ang mindset ko talaga eh. Tumulong.
Excellent, excellent. And that's really good to hear. But of course, Don, kayo kilala bilang athletes, bilang basketball players, pro players ng PBA. And obviously, ang mga tao, hinahanap pa rin yung mga programang konektado sa sports. Alam naman natin yan, pagka tayo galing doon sa industriyang yun, yun lagi ang kinokonect. Paano nyo kami bibigyan ng ganitong klaseng programa? What do you plan, Don, in terms of that, para sa mga tiga San Juan ninyo?
Well, I plan to have, of course, the basketball, volleyball, and chess tournaments. Ginawa na namin yan, lalo na yung chess tournament. Meron na, nag-sponsor ako ng mga chess tournaments dito sa one of the biggest barangays namin, Barangay West Crame. So recently, actually about a month ago, so malaking event yun. Tapos ngayon may Mayor's Cup naman kami, basketball and volleyball ang kasama dyan. So what I'll be doing, I will be continuing yung mga programang yan. And also at the same time, meron din akong mga programa para sa mga livelihood, meaning online job skills development. So pwede yung mga magulang, pwede silang mag-enroll dito sa mga job skills training, which is also, I'm gonna make sure na it's in line with TESDA. So they will be able to qualify for mga jobs. Aside from that, meron akong mga online gaming tournaments that I will hold that monthly. And I will also talk to, siyempre, the MVP Foundation, of course, with the help of my favorite commissioner, also Commissioner Nolly, and you know, I will ask sana if we can set up mga monthly tournaments for the kids. Kasi ngayon, grabe na yung mga online games, Grabe, everybody is playing it. Mas okay na ako doon yung mga bata na naglalaro sa mga online kesa mapunta pa sila sa masama, kesa mapunta pa sila sa mga barkada, wala namang ginagawa, tatambay sa corner. Mag-games na lang tayo, at least doon natututo sila sa mga kung paano yung mga operating system, yung mga ganyan ng mga computers. Hindi sila magiging computer illiterate.
Well, obviously, mailabas natin sa masamang bisyo ang mga kabataan ay napakahalaga para sa inyo na talagang lingkod bayan na on the ground at nakikipag-usap sa mga kabataan. Mayor Francis Zamora obviously is an athlete at alam natin kung gaano ka mahal na ang sports, no? Sabihin na natin yan. Ikaw, Paul, you've worked with him for the last 6 years kasama bilang isang konsehal. Gaano kahalaga ang sports sa programa ng Administrasyong Francis Zamora?
Yes, alam mo si Mayor Francis, recently nagkaroon kami ng tournaments. Ginawa niya agad yun dahil nga nagka-pandemic for the past 2 years, di ba? Hindi tayo nakagawa ng mga paliga. Ngayon may Mayor's Cup na si Mayor, meron pang mini Olympics. So talagang pinupush namin ang bawat San Juanenyo na mag-sports. ako naman, ang goal ko naman, alam mo, yung tanong mo kanina, ang goal ko sa San Juan, itong pag nanalo ulit ako, gagawa ako ng programa upang mapili natin yung mga pinakamagagaling sa sports kagaya ng basketball. Kasi ang dream ko, may isang San Juanenyo, na talagang laking San Juan na makarating din sa level ng PBA. Yan ang goal ko. Kasi may matutulungan niya for sure ang kanyang pamilya, mabibigyan niyang karangalan ang mga taga San Juanenyo, 'di ba? Kagaya ko, I'm proud na taga San Juan ako. Pag nasa championship ako, taga San Juan yan, ganyan, nababanggit eh. So that's my goal. Oo, magkukuha ko ng best of the best basketball player, volleyball player para makuha sila sa sa UAAP and then PBA o volleyball, 'di ba? Yan ang goal ko.
And hopefully makapasok sa national team because yan ang pinakamalaking karangalan para sa ating bansa.
Yes.
Paul, I'll stay with you. No? Alam natin na you've been there and alam naman natin ang problema at intriga sa politika. How does the intrigue compare? Yang intriga sa basketball, sa sports, compared sa intriga sa politika, Paul?
Talagang same din. Kasi ang daming fake news eh. Sisiraan ka talaga eh. Pero syempre, wag mo nang pansinin yung mga ganyan. Kasi di ba, once you pansinin mo pa yung mga ganyan, mas lalo pang pag-uusapan eh. So, stick to your job. Do the best. Do yung tulong sa kapwa. Gawa ng tama. Yun lang. You'll be okay.
But Don, are you ready for the intrigue in politics?
Go, Don.
Ako naman, if you don't mind it, it doesn't matter. So, ganun lang naman din yun eh. Kahit sa basketball, if you don't mind it, it doesn't matter. Gaya ng sabi ni Consi Paul, trabaho lang tayo. Mahalin natin yung San Juanenyo, mahalin natin yung trabaho, at everything will follow through.
Well, you're still a coach with Adamson, Don. Alam natin yan. And hindi ba mahirap pagsabayin ang pagiging coach? And right now, you're in the midst of your season and there will be 2 seasons coming up. Is this something that you can handle at sa tingin mo makakatulong sa'yo?
Well, just actually, we actually filed for our resignation, and then
tumatakbo ka.
Yeah, and also we won't be, kasi walang sportscom eh. So nung time na yun, sabi ko magfo-focus na ako dito sa San Juan muna. And it's not fair naman na nandun kami sa Adamson tapos walang nangyayari. Ayaw namin ng ganun. Not fair for Adamson. So to be fair, sabi namin, mag-resign muna kami. And then pag nag-resume na yung basketball, we'll see what happens then. But for now, our main priority is San Juan.
All right. Well, I want to shift a little bit ngayon, gentlemen, sa sports. No? A little bit lang tungkol sa PBA. We're doing this interview on the eve or a few hours before the knockout game between Pure Foods and Meralco para makapasok sa finals ng Governor's Cup. And both of you had an opportunity to play with both teams. Kahit papano, kahit sandali, alam natin, Pure Foods matagal. Don, you also had a long stint with Meralco. Okay, your fearless forecast dito sa Game 5 ng knockout game series ng Meralco at Magnolia Hotshots. Ikaw muna, Paul.
Okay, fearless forecast. Mananalo mamaya ang pambansang manok sa Pure Foods. Kasi alam nyo, alam mo, ako, nakapaglaro na ako Pure Foods, nakapaglaro na ako ng Meralco. Walang yan. Hindi magpapatalo yung dalawang team na yan. Pero ang advantage talaga nasa Magnolia. Kasi alam niyo naman, gustong-gusto nila makalaban ng Ginebra. Manila Classico Finals muli.
Ang bigat doon, ha? Ang bigat doon. Pero sinasabi nila, kahit ang Meralco, Ginebra, fantastico. Manila, fantastico series naman. Don, your fitness forecast. Ngayon, Game 5, Magnolia laban sa Meralco.
I think I'll go with the experience for now. We'll go with Magnolia. Sanay na sila dito sa situations na to. And syempre galing din po ako sa both teams. But I feel that Magnolia has the edge coming into this knockout game. So I wish them both the best of luck. So fearless forecast, Magnolia ako. And isa pa yun, kung may crowd sana, di ba? 6-man sila.
Oo, that's right. Well, ngayon talagang napakarami na ng fans na bumabalik. Obviously, liyamado dyan yung fan base ng Magnolia Hotshots. But alam naman natin kung gaano kagaling si Norman Black and hindi natin siya pwedeng tawaran. He's still obviously. And by the time mapalabas to, alam na natin kung kayo ay nagdilang anghel o napatunayan kayong mali ng mga taga Meralco. Let me go to this, no. You know, kayong dalawa, you had an opportunity in your career to ask for a trade, no? Kasi at that time you wanted to get out of particular organizations and nakuha naman ninyo yung opportunity na ngayon. Now, meron ng tinatawag na free agency sa PBA. Pwede na sila after 7 years of playing, pwede na silang mamili ng teams nila. In fact, some players ay nagawa na to. Ngayon ay naglalaro na sa Ginebra. Halimbawa, si Nards Pinto, nakatulong siya patungo sa finals. Paul, your thoughts on free agency? Sa tingin mo ba ito'y makakabuti sa PBA and sana meron ng ganito ng panahon mo?
Yeah, makakabuti talaga. Kasi para naman sa amin yan, advantage sa amin yan eh. Kasi alam mo yun, mahirap yung stuck up ka sa team na ayaw mo naman, di ba? So, unless magre-request ka ng trade, kagaya sa akin na I requested na ma-trade ako from Pure Foods kasi nga, wala akong kumpiyansa that time, gusto ko masubukan naman yung ibang team, nag-work for me. Pero ngayon, sana naabutan namin ni Don yun. Advantage talaga sa player yun. Kaya pasalamat ang mga player dapat.
Oo, tama yan. Don, you had the same experience, of course. Do you think this free agency ng PBA will be good for the league?
I think it shows that the league is growing because the rules are changing. Anytime the rules change, that means that the rules are getting better for the players. Same thing also with the owners and management of the PBA teams. So there is definitely growth when you have rule changes. As from a player's perspective, yes, because you're able to exercise your full potential, your rights, and your availability in the market. You're able to see how many people or how many organizations are interested. So malaking boost yun for the confidence of a player. Isipin mo, you have, if you ask for a trade, then you have all these other teams waiting in line to get your services.
Yan po mga kaibigan, ang panayam natin kay Don Allado at saka kay Paul Artadi. We have to cut it short dahil medyo naubusan tayo ng oras. But konti na lamang naman yung natitira doon sa ating interview na yon. Isang sinabi nila yung basketball o politika. Talaga daw sabi nila medyo si Paul politika, si Don basketball. No? Pero one thing na sinabi nila na medyo sumablay, Magnolia daw yung mananalo. Pinatunayan ng Meralco na kaya nilang manalo. But again, it was all in good, clean fun. Again, mga PBA stars na ngayon ay sumabak na sa politika. Alright, bago po tayo magtapos, gusto ko lang banggitin yung ibang nagpadala ng kanilang entry sa ating Pulso ng Bayan. Hatid sa inyo ng Chooks to Go, ang nag-iisang manok ng bayan. Ang ating pong tanong, ano ang prediction nyo para sa Governor's Cup Finals ngayong parating Ginebra kontra Meralco? Sabi ni Carmina Aguilar, ang dami-dami nagpadala ha. Basahin ko lang yung iba. Meralco na po magcha-champion till Game 6. Sabi ni Merjamir Makaspak, good morning po. Siyempre, Ginebra pa rin ang magcha-champion. Billy Baraclan, Ginebra pa din yan. Ang mananalo. Ang dami nito ha. Maria Lester Losaniera, hope Meralco wins this time. I'm an Alaska fan. Si Mon Sabas, my fearless forecast, Ginebra in Game 6. Erwin Gutierrez, Ginebra will win games 4 games to 2. Andot Putol, 4-2 Bolts. Christian Poralan, imposible ang sweep but Ginebra wins Governor's Cup 4-2. Napakarami pa po nito ha, mula kay tingnan natin to. John Robles, Ginebra in 6 or 7. Alex Fuentes, ako Ginebra 4-3. Christian Sanico, Meralco 4-2. Maganda defense ng Bolts. Michael Beredo, sana naman di-sweep Game 7. Kaso yung Game 7 daw sa Philippines Arena. Maganda yun. At marami pa pong iba. Pero ang ating napili na nanalo ngayong araw pong ito ng ating gift certificates mula sa Chooks to Go ay si Emil Tan Jr. Ang kanyang komentaryo, PBA Governor's Cup prediction, Meralco Bolts in 7 games, especially if Japet Aguilar remains injured. It will be payback time for the Bolts against Gin Kings. 3 years losing to the same team is more than enough motivation for Meralco to turn things around and claim its first ever PBA crown. Marami pa siyang nasabi. At mula din kay Erold Grimares, ang ating second winner. Ginebra lang ang sakalam. JB's never say die attitude will win the conference. Tim Cone is a legend. Nanunumbalik na ang 6th player every time Ginebra plays. At ito ang NSD crowd. Ginebra, Ginebra. Congratulations! We will send you a PM para po maintindihan nyo kung paano nyo makiklaim ang inyong mga gift certificates mula sa Power and Play. Aba, mukhang may dumadating dito. Aba, maraming salamat. Wow! Thank you. Ba, nasurpresa ako dito. Maraming salamat sa aking mga kaibigan, sa ating staff dito sa Power and Play. Thank you so much for the greetings and to all of you na bumati po sa atin. Well, I'll have to say goodbye on a good note. I will blow the candle. At marami po salamat sa inyong lahat ngayong araw na to. Magsama-sama ulit tayo next week. Lagi po natin sinasabi tuwing Sabado ng umaga, bawal ang masungit. At sa lahat po ng ating gawain, Ad Maiorem Dei Gloriam, all for the greater glory of God. Susunod na po ang inay ko po. Kami po ang 1PH teleserbisyo para sa Pilipino. Happy Sports Weekend mga kapatid. Happy birthday sa akin. More power, more play.
Sa kapwa ko Pilipino, ipagmalaki ang galing na meron tayo. Ilantad ang likas nating talento at magdala ng saya sa mundo. Sa harap ng pagsubok ay di susuko, para sa pangarap tayo'y porsigido. Magpakitang gilas na at magpapatalo, ipagdiwang natin ang Pilipino. Yan ang Pinoy. Mula noon at hanggang ngayon, talento natin ang bida. Mula sa simpleng bakuran hanggang entablado natin ipakita. May pagsubok man ng Pinoy, pinalalakas ng saya. San man tayo sa pulo, Chumbe, Sibay, Lakay, Aniga. Sama-samang pakita ang galing natin katropa. Sa kapwa ko Pilipino. Yan ang Pinoy.
Mukhang kailangan ko na naman palitan ng bubong ko, pare. Mag-iisang taong pa lang yan. May tulo na kagad.
Ay, bossing! Baka naman kasi hindi matibay yung ginamit nyo. Dapat ang gamitin mo ay cherry loom, ang yerong aluminum.